horsepower. Oh my God! Whoa! Okay, now we're in a city. We got to that really quickly. Thank you to our sponsors for today's video, Nokian Tyres, Amber, and StarCharge. Nokian Tyres is a leader in safety and sustainability. Maximize performance and efficiency with their made in USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantires.com/EV. This video is also brought to you by Amber. Amber offers a modern extended warranty for your Tesla's battery and more without the burden of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description below to browse their plan options and get started with a free over-the-air diagnostic check. This video is also brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage and microgrid solutions. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Now, this is going to be definitely a fun one, no question. That is a $250,000 Porsche Taycan Turbo GT. And you and I have driven Taycans of almost every variant on the channel, but we've done a lot of range and efficiency and charging testing, and we know the car is just a monster in almost every category. But the one thing we haven't done, at least with the new generation, is all the performance testing. So I've come here to Germany to do top speed driving. This is the fastest Porsche. It is the most powerful roadworthy Porsche ever made. And we are going to do all the performance testing this week. Now, in this video, this is going to be the initial shakedown of the Taycan Turbo GT, just to get to know the car. And I've planned an amazing route for us to get to know the car, going through some of the hills and mountains in Austria. Should be really fun. Then afterwards, we're gonna blast back to Munich on de-restricted Autobahn and really push this thing at high speed to see how it does. So join me as you and I explore the crazy Porsche Taycan Turbo GT with Weissach pack. This one is fully spec max performance, and it really is something crazy. So I'll take you on a tour. We'll then go on the drive and figure out the car together. Now, of course, you guys know my viewpoint on reviewing cars. It's very hard just to do a quick review, or at least you could do that, but there's so much time and effort that needs to go into evaluating a vehicle. I like to bring you along with me for all the fun. I like to go on, city roads, highway roads, taking it through the mountains, and of course on the racetrack. I've booked time at the Nürburgring to get this car out for some fast laps around the best racetrack in the world. And so I'm really going to, by the end of this week, have a complete understanding of this car. But I just got it about 2 days ago, but I haven't really done much with it in my 2 days. I drove it basically around Munich for like 10 minutes and parked it. I had some other cars to make videos with, and then this morning early, I blasted down here to Lindau, and hopefully you would have seen the video that I did on the BK World Lounge and some of the cool charging possibilities that they are offering CPOs. But of course, I took this car down here. While I was here, I charged it up to 100% at the Tesla supercharger. These are version 4 dispensers with version 3 cabinets, which means it's still not high voltage support. We had to use the 150 kilowatt onboard booster. But since I was here, I charged the Taycan up to full in anticipation of a fun drive. And well, that is what we're heading out to do. So before I get into all of the specs and stuff on this car, I just want to visually talk about how cool this car looks. It's got all the aero stuff going on through here, and this is a car that you can buy off the shelf. Now, initially, it doesn't look that crazy. For example, no center locks on the wheels. When we think GT in the name, we're thinking GT3s, center lock, crazy stuff. But really, if you just start looking even closer than that, you'll notice there's no charging port on this side. And if you look even more closely, you'll notice the glass. It's all pretty thin. There's less sound deadening in this model. It has no back seat. Again, we have the Weissach performance trim with Porsche Active Ride. It just shot up as I opened the door here. We've got carbon buckets in a Taycan. This is not meant to be the Taycan for everyone. I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. If you're looking for a comfortable daily driver, this can do that, sure, but this is really for that unique person, that hardcore performance enthusiast, the one that wants over 300 kilometers per hour, almost 200 mile an hour top speed. This car is no joke. And the Weissach pack really takes it again to the other level, removing that charge port, taking the back seats out, putting that huge wang on the back. That is a wing if I've ever seen one. Take a look at that. It's actually what my laptop is sitting on right now as I'm uploading a video for you guys, making this one. Carbon ceramics, of course, a particular color theme in a few different colors that you get, this nice gold hue. So if you ever see one of these coming down the road with those color brakes, again, different from the standard car, and if you ever see the badge Taycan Turbo GT on the back, well, you know this is something definitely quite special. And I'll be doing, of course, plenty of videos with this one over the next few days. I'll be comparing it to Lucid and Tesla Model S Plaid and doing top speed runs and efficiency and charging and range testing. We're going to do all the stuff, but it all starts now. So let me walk you through the specifications because I want to brief myself on them as well. And just so you can see the cabin where I'm going to be spending most of the time. Look at these awesome seats. Pretty much straight out of a GT3. So cool. You can see they're power height adjustable actually, which is kind of neat, but they do not tilt. It is fixed sort of bucket style, but I fit in them perfectly actually. It's got the Race Tech steering wheel. It just is so cool. It is so cool. There's no way around it. This is a really cool car. So we've got some incredible numbers. Let me walk you through them, and then I'll walk you through our route that we're going to go. And we're just going to go for a drive. We're going to drive in the city, on the highway, on some mountain passes, and then of course top speed as we make our way back into Munich. Should be a freaking blast. This is what dreams are made of. We're really talking, this is not necessarily competing with Model S Plaid. This is really a whole nother level above that. This is competing more or less with Lucid Sapphire in the electric, I want to say the words hypercar because these are hypercar numbers, but in the electric supercar numbers, if you will. This is quite a bit cheaper than a Rimac Navara or something on that level. It's only $250,000, but you're getting almost all the performance. I mean, it's pretty insane what this car gets you. But of course, then you can look at it the other way and say it's a $250,000 Taycan with less seats and less practicality and less comfort. If you look at it from that direction, this is not the car for you. It might be the video for you though, so stick around and join me as we have, hopefully, some crazy fun with this amazing machine. Well guys, the specs on the Turbo GT. I really do want to focus on the performance in this video, at least the on-road performance, because that's what this car is built to do, exactly the type of roads that we're going on. This particular one with the Weissach pack with the rear seat delete and everything, well, that saves like roughly 70 kilograms worth of weight. This is really meant for track stuff. I think most people, if you're going for a Turbo GT, my recommendation is skip the Weissach pack. It's really fun for me to play around with for a week. And if you really truly aren't going to carry around any other people, that's fine. But you're giving up the second charge port. You got this wing on the back that's a little bit showy and like, it's very functional. But I still think the Turbo GT non-Weissach pack, it's a no-cost option to go either way. I think that's probably the one for most people, just in terms of practicality. That would be my guess. So what do we have in terms of power? Well, we have a peak power. You won't see many people actually report on this because Porsche doesn't even communicate this, but I dug through the real technical specs. It has a peak output of over 800 kilowatts for a very short burst. So that's about 1,100 horsepower that it can do just for a quick burst. They really rate power consistently, so they say around 750 kilowatts, still over 1,000 horsepower rating on this vehicle. And there's some different modes compared with the standard car. This has something called attack mode, which is sort of push to pass, but on steroids, and it has paddle shifters, and you can activate them with a paddle, so you can easily activate attack mode coming out of a corner on track without having to take your hands off the wheel. Really optimized for performance. And then, of course, the power output, the battery's the same pretty much much as the standard car. It has the same 95-ish kilowatt hour usable, I think it's 97 kilowatt hour usable battery pack, 320 kilowatt charging, the most insane charging performance, 10 to 80 in 18 minutes, but on a huge battery pack. So this thing is just ripping over 300 kilowatts to above 60% state of charge. Insane charging performance. And I think you guys know Taycan pretty well. So here we have, again, dual motors, dual permanent magnet motors. In the rear though, the Turbo GT gets a different inverter. It's a 900 amp pulse inverter, and it's now silicon carbide instead of just IGBT. It's a surprise that Taycan uses IGBTs, by the way. I've always been shocked at, you know, the standard car is pretty efficient. I'm guessing all this aero stuff is going to hurt this car, but we'll find out in the range test. It's also on some meaty tires, but you don't necessarily buy this car for range, but it needs to do the daily stuff for people. But this one, again, silicon carbide, really nice. Finally to see that in Taycan. Still has the 2-speed, but with different gearing and different actually gear materials. It's a strengthened transmission in the back. And this is a car that actually kind of needs it because the high-speed performance is absolutely insane. So when we do the high-speed stuff, this versus Plaid, that'll be really interesting to me. I don't have a Sapphire here in Europe, but I have a Lucid Dream performance that I'm able to test. So that'll be kind of cool. And so overall, I mean, we're just talking huge numbers. We've got well over 1,000 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds, 2.2 seconds, 0 to 100 Ks. And that, you know, Porsche's always gentle on that stuff, right? They always want you to achieve that under pretty bad conditions. So again, I really think this isn't necessarily a car you buy with numbers on paper, even though it's very impressive with its over 190 mile an hour top speed and all of the other crazy charging and performance stats. Porsches you buy because of feel. And to be honest, just driving it down here, it drove just like a normal Taycan. I had the suspension in normal comfortable mode, Porsche Active Ride, really smoothing out the bumps, leaning into the corners, doing all the stuff we've explored with Active Ride in the Porsche Taycan 4S, the Sport Turismo one that we had recently. There's like almost no downside in the daily drive. We're gonna certainly find out a little bit more, but I've just been so impressed with the comfort, which is not why you buy this car, but it is very comfortable. So let's get in, let's get the cameras up, let's go for a drive, let's go explore the Turbo GT together for the first time. So on our route to figure out the Turbo GT, I've found a bunch of twisty roads. I've put in a couple waypoints here in the Porsche system. And so we're basically gonna go through the mountains, I think. You know, I just found as many squiggly roads as I could. Lots of little mountain pass looking stuff through here. We'll see how it goes, but we'll basically head to Innsbruck. And we should be there, let's take a look. If I look at the full route plan, by 18:05, so just under 4 hours, seems perfect. And then we can take the back road back to Munich. So should in total be like a 5 or 6 hour, probably 6 or 7 hour drive, honestly. But that's a great, I'd say, amount of time to really get to know this car in varying environments. So let's get the GoPros on, let's go cruise. I'll tell you a little bit more about the car as we go, but we should have some beautiful views as we are starting here in Lindau on the border of Lake Constance, which is absolutely gorgeous. Spent a lot of time at this lake, really like it. And I've never actually done this route. I think I've done the highway to Innsbruck before, but I've never gone through these mountain ranges. So very much looking forward to this. See if we can find some good roads. Okay, folks, you joined me in the Turbo GT, and the first thing that I just love is really the seating position. I can get really low considering it's an electric car. Got the seat on the ground. The wheel is perfect in my opinion, and it really feels a little bit more race car in here. Race techs everywhere, paddle shifters on the wheel, one to activate attack mode. Not available because we're in park. The left paddle toggles the regen on and off, which normally I program to this steering wheel button. So what I can do now is I can program this steering wheel button to turn off the stupid Euro mandatory speed limit. When you go like 1 kilometer over the speed limit, it beeps at you. So I have that to shut that off, and it's by law has to turn on every time you cycle the car. All the cars do that now. It's infuriating, but at least I can do a hotkey. And then I have this other hotkey that I can program to the sort of Porsche Sport sound, and I can also dial in all the drive modes. A couple things are different here from the normal Porsche, I'm just going to angle this down so you can see. I have 2 adjustments on the wheel, very GT3 RS style. So normally you have your drive mode where I can go like range mode and normal mode and all the different modes here, and that's all the same. In the center now, there's a button for attack mode, similar to push to pass, but this button and this right paddle do the same thing. So there's no difference between the right paddle and that button. Then I have a PASM switch, which adjusts my suspension from normal to Sport Plus on the damper, and it does also adjust the overall suspension height. There's a button in the middle of the PASM switch that's been driving me crazy. I'm like, what does this button do? And it, oh, it goes to Smart Lift. How about that? I was like, I couldn't figure out what this thing actually does, but I think this goes, that lifts the car at low speed. I have been hitting it while driving. So now, hey, we just figured that out together. That's why we're doing this video, so we can learn about these things together. So that is the lift function. Okay, so now if I go to Sport, it'll drop. Let's just double check. And then I can click this button, and yeah, it goes back to lift. And I can cancel lift by hitting it again. Oh, we're learning things. Into drive. This is very similar to other Taycans that we have driven, in a sense where all of the screens, all of the software, all of the settings even are pretty much identical. I have a few different drive modes, same as before. We have range, normal, sport, and sport plus. It's only the Cross Turismo that gets the gravel mode as well. And I have rear steer, but the thing with the Turbo GT is it's actually sounds expensive. Yeah, you can say, oh, $250,000 Taycan, yes, but maybe you guys haven't been paying attention. By the time you throw some options on a Turbo S, you're almost there. And so then the question becomes, okay, if you're going to go for a high-spec Turbo S, do you go Turbo GT? And what do you get for that? Well, you actually do get the rear motor is the big thing, I think. Yeah, same ceramic brakes, but it's all down to that fine tuning of the ESP. The Porsche Active Ride comes in a little bit differently. It's all those little tiny knobs that Porsche is able to twist to just really dial in the car. And that's exactly what you get when you go Turbo GT. So, let's just go cruising around the city. I have everything in normal mode. Car is quiet from a motor perspective. Let's see if we're going to let this person, he's not wanting to cross. Okay, so the motors and everything, it's still an electric car. It's not beating you up. And this is where a lot of people who spend money on AMG or even M Competition or CS or 911 GT3s, RSs, STs, when you spend the money on most combustion performance variants, you're getting an auditory experience that, ooh, RS6 Avant, very nice. You get an auditory experience that goes along with the money. So even when you're driving gently in a lot of those cars, every time you hit the start button, we're now in Austria, every time you hit the start button, every time you kick on the vehicle, there's something special. You're like, oh yeah, I spent the money for this. When you get in the Taycan Turbo GT, that doesn't exist, to be totally transparent. It is an identical daily driving experience to a Taycan rear-wheel drive. And this is where it's kind of hard to justify a lot of the money for a performance variant of an electric car, because most of the time, for most people's driving, it's going to be the identical experience. And then you have seats that are harder to get in and out of, especially here, Visoc pack, carbon buckets. Like it's a really tough sell. But that's not who they're building this car for. This is, I don't necessarily think limited production, but I think they're going to be pretty hard to get. These are for the really hardcore track guys, the guys that want to go to the track on the weekends in an electric car, or blast down the Autobahn, whatever it might be. That's what you're getting here with the Turbo GT. So, Turbo GT and Visoc pack cost the same. Like I mentioned, I would recommend going probably without the Visoc pack, although I think it's so cool that the back seats are out. You've got that carbon tub in the back with extra bracing. They even went so far as to remove the charge port, and it has lightweight glass. Like, it's not quiet in here. I don't know if you can see this. We're only doing 100 kilometers per hour. The normal Taycan, you don't hear a thing in that car. In this one, it's like loud. But that's the point. It's all about weight savings on a very heavy electric car, but they had to go really far to get all the weight out of this thing. So it has less sound deadening, thinner glass, all of, you know, the list goes on and on to take the weight out, especially for the Weissach pack. And the spec that I'm driving here is pretty much full performance out. It does have floor mats, which are optional on this car. They come standard without floor mats to save the weight. And no adaptive cruise control, nothing. Like, this is just full racetrack spec. And let's just say, to compare it to a Turbo S, your noise of the motors, it's different. It sounds cool. You really hear that rear motor, especially under hard acceleration. But when you're on the highway and you're just cruising, you turn up the audio. This one has Bose. I would say they definitely did something to the sound system. It doesn't sound as good as the standard car, but it's fine. I mean, what's cool is you can get all of this crazy performance and it doesn't actually beat you up in the day-to-day. The suspension in normal is incredibly comfortable. Like, feels almost identical to a standard Taycan, which is very unusual for a performance track specification. And the car certainly gets a lot of attention. People, especially in Germany, they always know, like, when you got the hot car, and, you know, Turbo GT has made a lot of news as to what this car can do. When you roll up at a charging station or at a restaurant, I've just been driving it around, like I said, occasionally the last couple days, it really gets people's attention. People are like, holy smokes. They were taking photos of it in front of Motor World, so people know this is a special car. And there is a sense of coolness to that as well. So anyway, we've got a little bit of highway to do before we get to the twisty roads. The sound deadening is so little, I heard someone beeping like 10 cars behind me. It's really hilarious. So let's go learn this thing. Let's get it on some good roads and have some fun. But my initial impression of Turbo GT, again, just driving it normally, I haven't had it to top speed or anything, is the power, wow, really nice, but everything else feels pretty standard Taycan. I imagine that's going to change as we hit the corners. So let's get to work in this thing. So in traffic, yeah, there's really no difference. That is one of the nice things. A Viewpoint could be one of the nice things of a spicy electric car, is that low speed. It doesn't beat you up. It's not hard to cruise around just in low speed driving. And if most of your driving is puttering around town, sitting on the highway, with the occasional mountain drive or the occasional track day, keep in mind the standard Taycan can still do most of those things incredibly well. This is really the car for the person who spends a large portion of the time on track. Or I know a lot of people that are like, have committed to electric and they just don't want to drive combustion anymore, but they're still car enthusiasts and want a track car. This will actually become their track day machine, and maybe they have a Sport Turismo or Cross Turismo or a Lucid Air or a Model S or something as the daily driver. So this is going to replace some GT3s, some combustion enthusiast cars for people who have just committed to a full electric lifestyle. So, you know, certainly this car has its place there. For as many as they're planning to make, there's enough people willing to buy them, I think, but it's not the average consumer. So I just want you guys to understand all that going into it. Even for me personally, if I was buying a Taycan, I would go for a high spec Cross Turismo or Sport Turismo. If I lived in Europe, we don't get Sport Turismo in the US at the moment, maybe when GTS comes back, but that's where I would even be interested in, because for as much time as I love driving quickly, I wouldn't even make the benefit of having all of the crazy performance stuff this car has. So I just wanted to get that kind of done up front. Anyway, we've got off the highway, we're out of traffic, we're going through, of course, the Austrian tunnels. We're gonna go find some twisty roads and have some fun. The Austrian views never get old, do they? It's just so green, so nice. Yeah, it's absolutely so cool through here. And look at the views off in the distance. Oh boy, this is gonna be a great drive. I-4. Well, this day certainly doesn't suck. We are on some beautiful roads in the Taycan. Wow. This is so cool. Amazing to think this is literally not far from Munich at all. You just get some amazing roads. Now I have the car in normal mode at the moment, which is really cool with the Porsche Active Ride, because as I turn the wheel, the car leans into the corners almost overactively. Now that function is actually disabled when you go into Sport and Sport Plus. It's more of a comfort function to reduce the G-forces on your body, and you just feel weight down in your seat. For example, if I hit the throttle, the rear lifts up, and I hit the brake, the nose lifts up, and so you're always having a counteractive force. Now you can turn all that off if you don't like it. To me, it doesn't really feel that natural. I love Porsche Active Ride, but I think other than the novelty of it kind of leaning into corners and stuff, I would just turn those functions off, and then I have the cool hydraulic control on each individual wheel. I've already done a video in my Taycan, studio tour explaining how the Active Ride works with the 5 kilowatt. There's 4 5 kilowatt permanent magnet, basically electro-hydraulic motors that can feed hydraulic fluid pressurized or take it out of the damper. And so you get individual roll stiffness and individual damping control on each individual wheel. So even if you're like sliding around a corner and it wants to pull the car straight, not only can it pull a little bit more front power, but it can like push the outside rear tire down. And so you get these incredible vehicle dynamic situations, because now you can control literally making the car jump almost if they turn the system all the way up. It's insane. So I'm really looking forward to trying this out. From a comfort perspective in normal mode, yeah, totally nice. Soaks up all the bumps. You lean into these sweepers. It's really cool how you literally watch it come in. That's not necessarily new technology. Mercedes used to have something called active body control, ABC, and that was all in there. So what I think we should do is, of course, we've learned the car is just as good in traffic as a normal Taycan. We've learned it's just as comfortable and just as nice and flowing as a normal Taycan when you drive it gently on back roads, kind of like we are now. And we should go actually start pushing this thing and doing what it's built to do. So I'll catch you when I can get this thing into Sport mode and Sport Plus, maybe even if we want to get a little spicy. And looking forward to trying some of the power and the brake feel and getting this thing to work. So let's go have some fun. This is a beautiful little town. I mean, wherever you go, I love Austria as a country. It's so nice. You get all these great towns, especially in this area where we're heading to, a lot of ski mountains and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. We find ourselves on some more open roads. So the first thing I want to do is just try some acceleration. May as well, right? I mean, I know there's a couple corners, but let's just try a quick launch. So 1,000 horsepower. Oh my God! Whoa! Okay, now we're in a city. We got to that really quickly. Well, you guys know I drive a Model S Plaid as my normal car, so I'm not, unused to acceleration and performance. And that gave me all the Plaid feelings right there. Most cars do not give me the Plaid feelings. And that was pretty incredible. It just spun off the line, spun all four. I mean, the tires were cold and everything, but wow, giving it the full beans, let's try it again. That was crazy. We have some more open road here, so. Oh my God. It just spins the tires all the time. It's absolutely crazy. Okay, this car is not messing around. I'm starting to see, we're up to this point I hadn't really figured out what the Turbo GT really is for, other than just to get more money out of people. But no, there's some secret sauce here for sure. Anyway, Sport Plus feels pretty aggressive. Let's back it into Sport. And I got to do a podcast, so I'm going to find a little spot to pull over. I got to do a podcast for an hour or something, and then we can get back to driving. But man, am I glad that we did a launch, because this is something. That was some power. Okay, puts it in another league. Of course, you can read numbers on a spec sheet. They don't matter until you feel anything. You drive cars on the road, not on paper, and that acceleration. That is some serious power. Well, viewers, I was on the main road, pulled off to do the podcast, and while I was sitting there, I found some twisty roads and some cows, apparently. Look how cute. They are so cute. So, let's go up this little mountain pass, I think. I think it's a dead end, which probably is good. Dead end mountain passes are the best for driving roads, but I saw a bunch of motorcycles go by on this, so I'm thinking, okay, must be kind of interesting, must be a good road. So we've got a lady on an e-bike up here. I'm gonna click our drive mode into sport, which is the first level. Could just feel it downshift into first gear there. Normal mode tends to keep it in second gear all the time, and because the rear seat is gone, you really do hear the motor quite a bit, especially in first gear. And we're just gonna get a sense of everything. Now, the way I have sport set is in a custom profile. Wow, look at this road, holy smokes. I'm gonna put the suspension also into sport to match, and oh my goodness, this is like single track, full racetrack. There's an AC charger up here, what the heck? Got a car coming down, so let's throw it in reverse and back in this corner for them. Let's see if we can make some room. So we definitely got to watch for oncoming traffic. This is cool, and we've got a e-bike coming down. Wow, I don't think this is a road you can really go fast on, but it certainly looked interesting on the map. So let's just take it easy. Can't see anything. Oh wow, this is crazy. Even with the sport sound off, you really do hear that rear motor, especially in first gear. In normal mode, running second, it's a much lower pitch, and you don't hear it very much. Now, the one thing that's really important about this car is it has so much power and so much capability that I'm looking for, okay, the confidence to be able to push this car. I don't want something that's just a muscle car that has no brakes, no steering, no chassis, which I would say is pretty similar to my Model S because it doesn't have the track pack. I did upgrade the brakes and those helped, but I still am missing some initial bite that I'm looking for. There's a nice little restaurant up here, very cool. And yeah, let's continue around. So this little restaurant and hotel, I guess, has AC charging. How freaking neat is this? Oh, this is a beautiful road. This is what it's all about. Gracious. A little bit of brakes. Oh, brakes are right there, even cold. Ceramics like to have some heat in them, of course, and that felt awesome on the initial brake application. Oh my gosh. We have reached heaven. Yeah, so what I'm feeling is the car is, of course, really wide for a road like this, but just having this complete stability, great steering, really strong and responsive brake pedal is important on a mountain road, because again, we're not going 10/10s, but we want the ability to get out of a situation if we get into one, and certainly hold us back if we do happen to get into a situation. And the power is, I'm just using 10-20% at the very most, just to cruise gently down here. Again, just sport mode, not sport plus. Just getting into brakes, mostly regen here. 400 kilowatt regen in this one is pretty crazy. Oh, the power is unbelievable when the road gets small. It feels fast on a big road when we did the launches, but when you're in a really tight little area like this, oh my goodness. Also, the Porsche Active Ride, I can feel it doing some cool things. This is unbelievable. Just downshifted to first gear. That didn't feel that smooth. That was like a, oh, you want throttle, totally pause power output, first gear, then wham! So Sport Plus might have a little bit better tuning than Sport for something like that. Wow, this certainly, I mean, it feels like so much car. You could have fun. You'd probably have even more fun on a road like this in a little Miata or something, but the power, the handling, haven't even gotten it into anything aggressive yet, and it's really, really Okay, well that was fun. Just a little sport mode, a little mountain cruise. Looks like we're kind of out of the twisty section, but really getting a sense of this car, and it is very quick to change direction. It's quite a heavy car. I don't remember exactly what it is offhand, but man, can you absolutely hustle it around corners like a little sports car. The second and first gear shifting is still clunky, and because the rear seat isn't there, it's even louder. But that's kind of cool in a sense, raw. I think it's acceptable in a car like this because, you know, this is the lightweight hardcore racer, so it's okay to hear some noise and clinks and clunks from time to time. Oh my gosh. On the brakes for this one, just using still quite a bit of regen at even low speed. Oh, stuff's flying around in the storage. The Pirelli tires, they're pretty much as aggressive as you can get for a street tire, are cold. Of course, we haven't gotten really much heat into them, but wow, this is cool. That was a really fun little run, and not even going hard, just a gentle, I would say, cruise. The biggest limitation was just the size of the road and the size of the car. It's really, Taycan's a wide vehicle, of course. That was fun. This is definitely a machine. Really, just those little inputs when you start moving the car, getting it to work, that's when you're like, oh, this is certainly spicier than the other models. And keep in mind, we still haven't gone really wide open throttle or you know, pushed it incredibly hard in Sport Plus mode or something like that. It's just the little feeling is very high quality, very nicely tuned, and really impressive. But this is a car you have to drive hard to get the appreciation out of it. Okay, so we're back in the city. Let's go back to where we need to go, and then we'll pick up the video having more fun. Okay, the whole road has fallen away, and I am now off-roading. Ooh, MG4, pretty cool. And I've got the suspension lifted. I used the little button right here to raise the suspension. And I mean, it's doing fine. It's so incredibly comfortable, even over these rocks. It's unbelievable. It rides like a Range Rover. I mean, I have not had one jarring input. It's, with this active ride suspension, you just get unbelievable smoothness. It's crazy. So I can come down here, lower the car back down. There we go. I can feel us dropping, and we're good to rock and roll. The lifted message has gone away. Back to going to find good roads. Join me now on some open, amazing, winding roads. And this is just, you know, a little bit of sport mode, having some fun with the car, the active ride suspension doing its thing. And this is what the Turbo GT is all about. The question from my side is, look, I love Taycan and I love Lucid. I think Lucid's got an amazing chassis as well. I would love to do, you know, Taycan Turbo GT versus Sapphire. I think totally different approaches to a car. The Sapphire has so much more usable packaging space. Whoa, when you pull the pedal, it's so fast in this car. And makes more power than this, another, you know, 100 and a bit horsepower above this one. And again, this is only peak for 2 seconds, according to Porsche, at 815 kilowatts, and then it's like 790, 780, I forget the exact numbers, but for a while. And, you know, from my perspective, what I want to know is this car more fun than a combustion car? Like, would I be having more fun out here in a 911 with a manual transmission, or even a Mazda Miata with a manual transmission? I've been a huge proponent of electric cars because I love electric mobility, and I think it's incredible what it can do, and I love the freaking power that we have as well. But I've never really had the desire to go out and go for a drive in an EV. Like, a weekend car for me really is a combustion car with 3 pedals. And one thing I can tell you is, if you're worried about going to jail driving quickly on the road, this is not the car to drive, because the speeds go so high, so quickly. It's really unbelievable how much speed this is putting down. Also, just in comparison to, again, I haven't driven the Sapphire, but I've driven the other Lucids, and of course the Model S, as I own one of those. This is a very tight package. I mean, the steering is boom right there. There's no slop. There is just complete connectiveness between turning the wheel and having action. There's like no bushing, deflection, nothing like that. Coming through this amazing tunnel. It's all wet through here from waterfalls actually, so we'll take it easy, because I think if I were to floor it, we'd spin the tires. Let's take a listen, shall we? Just to see if it does. Yes. Not so much traction in this one. And this is a car you can really just go so quickly in. You got to be careful. You really got to rein yourself in. This is a car that needs a racetrack, so I'm very much looking forward to getting it out on the Nürburgring and being able to let it breathe a little bit. You know, it just is unbelievable in terms of its capabilities. And these roads are unbelievable as well, coming through these unbelievable. How many times do I have to say unbelievable? This is crazy. Yeah. So we're gonna hit some great roads. I gotta lock down some luggage and stuff. It's flying around in the storage compartment in the back, making a lot of noise. There's no sound deadening, so you really hear everything. I'm gonna put everything probably in the front trunk, and then we should be good to rock and roll. So we have a 60 zone we're coming into now. Let's go nice and slow. And we'll stop in this little town, repack the car, and then we can go send it on some mountain passes. But just, that was a really nice section to have some fun with the car, open it up, really start pushing it. And I have to say, yeah, certainly the capability of this car is well above what most people need to be doing on a public road. I think that's a great thing. I think that's a really great thing. So, I mean, what I also love is just in any mode, you just pull the right pedal, boost, attack mode's on, and then you just mat the throttle. It just has no traction. It's full throttle, full ABS. It's insane. Wow. Yeah, these tires need to get some heat in them, of course. So we'll do that, and then we'll go have some real fun. Although I'm having real fun right now. Holy smokes, check this road out. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. That was like a bridge with some of the best corners from every racetrack I've ever been on. Wow, crazy. What is this road? I'm in Schroken. I like it here, whatever I am. That's incredible. Oh my God. I haven't even had time to put everything away in the car, and we're already reaching some amazing, amazing roads. Throttle response in Sport Plus is unbelievably sharp. Just back down PSM Sport. We've got a nice Golf who's having some fun, so we'll pull the right paddle and see you later, brother. Off we go then. Well, we have found ourselves a great road, no traffic, Sport Plus, back the stability off one notch. When you start ripping on Taycans, they all do this in Sport Plus. They turn off AC in the cabin automatically, and that's just to basically preserve battery cooling, but you can turn it back on, and I did. Just have to have really good throttle control with something with this much power, of course. But man, you can just stab the throttle on the exit and it pulls its way out. Pretty amazing. Coming in here, get attack mode ready, pre-selected, and just blasts out of the corners. It's unpleasantly fast. You better like do some neck exercises before you drive this car, because even here on the street, you know, this is a very high speed limit road, surprisingly, because it's just like an unspeed limited back road, so you're at national speed limits. And oh, what a beautiful road. EV6 not ripping it. They should be. The car's got a good enough chassis, they could have some fun. Just coming through here on the brakes. It's got great brakes. You can pull the fast pedal if you need it. Whoa, blind corner, full send. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how you're just teleported. Not even teleported. You're just shot out like a cannon into the next corner. I mean, I've always heard people describe cars that I never thought were that fast as just insane, all these things, blah, 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 blah. This, for the size of the car, might have the most brutal acceleration of any car I've experienced. At least standard series production car. And you just hold it right on threshold braking. Huge regen, can regen through ABS, which is great. You just find the exit of the corner, mat the throttle, and it's amazing. Having the stability control halfway, it seems to be staying out of the way. I can feel it kick in from time to time, but it's not aggressive. Pull the extra paddle. Whoa! On the brakes. Motorcyclist sending it on the adventure bike. Hell yeah. He was full rip in that thing. What a road! This car is maybe a bit too big, but I bet not much can keep up with this. Sticky freaking rubber, big brakes, huge immediate power. Oh my God. It's like you get right to hard throttle, and then you better be ready to stand on the brake pedal right after, because you're just rocketed at such high speed that you're on the throttle for a very small amount of time. It's like throttle and brakes. And because it's got such amazing in-motor powertrain control, you can almost accelerate faster than you can brake. At least that's what it feels like to me. It feels that way in the Model S Plaid too. That's a very weird sensation where you say, okay, I was on the throttle for 2 seconds, brakes on the 2 seconds should equal the same speed. Nope. They seem to accelerate faster than they can stop. Which is, wow, this car is so much capability. It's insane. I cannot wait to get this car on track. I am going to get myself into trouble on the street because it is so fast that in order to really start pushing it and feel the benefit of all the Turbo GT stuff, you have to go so fast. Because if you think of it this way, the standard car's capability already is insane. So to feel what the Turbo GT can do more, you really gotta push it. And that's really fast. And it's fun though. Wow. This is the first time in an electric car that I'm like, okay, I really have to focus hard on all this power. But I will say, at no point, even hard bump through there, does it feel even slightly unsettled or unsorted. It feels so planted, so dialed. The chassis feels so rigid. It just goes exactly where I want it to go, and I can just change a little bit of the pressure on the back tires and the front tires depending on my throttle position, and it's just absolutely perfect. Look at this corner coming in for a braking zone. Oh, this is perfection! Oh my gosh, whoever made this road, my hero. This is unbelievable. For the water, don't hydroplane. Thank you very much. It wasn't as deep as I thought. Oh my God. I'm actually car sick. Ugh. Need more air conditioning. I don't think those G-forces in a car should happen on public roads. This whole package, tire, wheel, brake, acceleration, you're just wham, 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 wham. Oh, it's just getting absolutely thrown around. That you almost need to work out in order to drive this car at its maximum. That's crazy. That is really crazy. I wonder what type of G-forces it does under acceleration. I don't even want to try it. I think I might actually puke. where you want to go, you have to be so on, because you arrive at the end point of your vision. Boom! You're just there. You just keep arriving at your literally horizon point so fast. Hell yeah, these guys are out for a rip. Got stuck in some traffic, and I am speechless as to how this car demolishes a back road. I mean, I've driven a lot of cars, a lot of fast cars. I don't know if it's the weight of this car and then the capability of it, but it's just the insane performance of this car on a back road is something I can't describe to you. So when you drive the Taycan hard, and not like full send you're going to be getting over 1,000 watt-hour per mile, or less than 1 mile per kilowatt hour. But on a back road, you'll be in that like 1.2, 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour when you have like to slow down for the cities, then open it back up. And that's pretty good. That's like way more than 100 miles of back road driving pretty aggressively. So that's why you need a lot of capacity, because when you really floor this thing, you output so much power that you can just watch the state of charge drop. I mean, Taycan can be efficient when it needs to be, especially the rear-wheel drive sedan. But this car, when you go full send, you're just draining that pack. But that's what it's for. It's meant to go fast. And wow, really nice day. I mean, that was few hours solid of mountain cruising. Some of it full send, absolute rip. I kept the camera on for a few of those, but then other spots just really enjoying the tactile feedback of the car, enjoying kind of moving it around a little bit here and there. It's been wonderful. You can see some of the traffic that we have to battle through here on these awesome switchbacks. It's getting pretty busy out around this way, but man, the roads. So what we're going to do is we're going to head towards Innsbruck and charge up. That should be right towards the end of our range. We're down to 32%. And that is a great way to spend a charge in a Taycan. Really a great way to spend a charge. And then we'll charge up there and blast back to Munich. Should be kind of fun. Well, guys, you joined me later in the day. I actually got to meet up with a friend who works for BYD. Pretty cool. Just had some nice conversations about cars here in the city, in the Tyrol area. And I've shown up to this charging park, which is really cool. That one says 800 volt hypercharge. This one doesn't, but I'm not familiar with this. So Enercharge, I've never heard of them before. Press button, okay. So 160 kilowatt charging here. Here's how I can change the language. Go up to English, okay. I don't necessarily need to charge. I actually charged this up on a Shell charger. And this is cool. It's like got the little vending machine just out under this cover. How about that? You can get beer, snacks, windshield wipers, just a windshield wiper solution, soap, all the stuff you would need. Really nice vacuum cleaner here. Karcher vacuum cleaner, cool. And then they have another charger over here that seems like it was added on afterwards. And it's the Hypercharge 800 volt. So is the other one not 800 volt, or is this just branding? Oh no, Spider. Oh boy. So let's see what this one says. This says 200 kilowatt. So it's an actually different unit. Very interesting. Spiders all over the place though. Got to be careful about that. It says, careful, you're on camera. I don't see any label. Who makes this thing? Oh, here we go. This is Enercharge, their own charger. Huh. I've never really seen these before, but pretty interesting to say the least. So it's under like Electrify America green glow. It was just on my way out of the city, heading up on the highway. We're basically taking the highway back to Germany. And yeah, figured I would come stop and take a look. Have to say, did a lot more driving, of course, in twisty roads in the Taycan, and I am totally getting the Turbo GT thing because it's so crazy. I put my friend in this car and launched it, and they were like, holy shit, this is insane. And I was like, you know what? That is it. That was the Plaid reaction, and it actually does feel stronger than the Plaid, absolutely at speed. I really hope we get to do a drag race because they're close. I mean, my butt dyno probably, unless I drove them back to back, can't tell the difference. This one feels more brutal, probably just because it's a much stiffer chassis, much stiffer seat, much stiffer bushing. So when you smack the accelerator there's just so much less deflection that this just feels, I keep saying the word hardcore, but this car is hardcore. It beats you up a little bit with the acceleration. Now the suspension is very soft, but it's taut. There's not much deflection. Anyway, cool to check out these new stations. And all right, new to me stations at least. Maybe this place has been here for a while. It's called the Ladepark Telfs. That's the name of the city that we're in. Telfs, Austria. Ost, Schnell, Günstig, Elektro, hypercharging, 800 volt. Maybe they're all 800 volt. It's interesting how it actually is advertising the maximum voltage of the charger, but you really wouldn't get the benefit either way if you didn't have an 800 volt car. So that seems weird. But pretty cool to have, again, Red Bulls, beer, windshield, high power cleaner, air. So I don't even know. Cool. Good stuff. Let's roll. I think I'm charged up to 96%. We got plenty of juice. Well, it is pitch black, as you can tell, outside. And one thing would be kind of cool to demonstrate to you is some of the motor control. So as an example, Tesla does all their longitudinal traction control in the motor. And the one thing I have to give them so much credit for is just the most insane traction control tuning. What's weird is I'm not really getting that impression here. Let me floor it here and you're going to see a lot of chattering, a lot of wheel slip, and then catch. It's still really fast response, but surprisingly not on Tesla's level of response. Let's do it. So you know, whoa, 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 and the sort of wheel hop and wheel slip that's coming through just spins to freaking 70 miles an hour. It's insane in the wet, of course. But I'm just going to shut the light off. We can look forwards because it's a good view out. The no question, the Tesla just has better traction control in that sense. I've done a lot of stupid stuff with the Plaid testing traction control, and I've never really had that kind of response. But it's a good system. So like here I am halfway through the corner, right? I can floor it, and then it just point it. Don't even need to go opposite lock. Like, I mean, it catches it really well. You can keep the systems on and drive this car kind of like an idiot. And it obviously can't go beyond the traction limitations, but or beyond the limitations of physics, but it's pretty damn good. I can pull the right paddle for boost, downshifts into first, and it's just so much power. You're always spinning. It's pretty crazy. So certainly this thing does not need any more power, let's just say that for sure, especially at high state of charge, but maybe could use slightly better motor refinement. And my preference is to not have the 2-speed gearbox. I get it. I know why Porsche did it. Top speed was a real priority for them, but I really was hoping we'd see a juicy rear motor or dual motor system, which we have, of course, or like a tri-motor single gear. I think Sapphire proves you can go high speed with high power with a single reduction gear. No need for this sort of gear shifting. Maybe for Turbo GT, just save it exclusively for this model if that's what they need. But yeah, I just don't think it's worth all the clunkiness, all the NVH downsides when you hear it clunk. Some people like it. Some people like the feeling of shifting. Personally, I prefer a single gear in an electric car. Anyway, we're just cruising through a couple little mountains. We'll make our way to the highway soon, and then it's time to do some blasting back into Munich. Well, guys, you can see I'm actually not in the Taycan at the moment, but I did just want to say in an upcoming video, we are going to be going top speed down the Autobahn in the Taycan. It was pouring rain the whole way back into Munich, and therefore just not safe to open up the car. But, you know, my initial first impressions on the Taycan Turbo GT are like, okay, if you're just going to use it for daily driving, clearly not worth it. But if you are going to start pushing it, it's insane. And I really think, unless you're going to go to track days, which I cannot wait for you guys to see this car on the Nürburgring, yeah, the capabilities of where this car can go and what it can do are just so high for the public road that I really recommend track days and closed courses to exploit the performance, because it's wild. Not just the straight line acceleration, but the braking, the chassis, the steering. It's a really cool experience. So I will leave you with that. Watch an upcoming video where we blast this thing down the German Autobahn at over 300 kilometers per hour. That's coming up. Really think it'll be a fun one for you guys. But thanks for joining on this informal video. as I acquainted myself with the Turbo GT. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on another one again soon. Bye-bye.